Hello, you lovers of music everywhere. Welcome to Full Record Jacket. I'm Phil, and over there we've got Ben. And
Howdy, wowdy. Is that a word? Don't know if that's a word. Wowdy. But I'm using it, and if it isn't a word, it is now. I've patented it, and the glasses are back on.
so
Hi, Phil.
tonight we are sitting here. We're recording this in the evening. I mean, you may be watching it any time of day, but we're just sitting here talking about Glastonbury because it's coming up. And we thought we would go through some of our favourite Glastonbury moments. Just in case you are watching somewhere in the world and you don't know what Glastonbury is, this is
What are you doing watching this
well,
channel?
it's the biggest music festival that takes place in Britain. It takes place on a farm down in the southwest of
In the
England.
world.
It's been going since, is it 1970?
Isn't
70,
it about
71?
30
It's getting on for 50
something like
years,
that.
isn't it? Or something like that.
Well, when Oasis did it in 94 and 95, that wasn't at the 25th anniversary.
95
then,
was the 25th anniversary, I'm pretty sure, yes. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been. My cousin, Mr. Tommy, he goes most years, but for my own mental health, it would just freak me out being amongst all those people for that amount of time.
yeah, and I must admit, although I've been to a few festivals, I've never actually been to Glastonbury. Now,
I think,
I like Glastonbury, but I only know it
yeah,
through watching it on TV.
yeah, I think if I was there, I'd probably enjoy it, but I just find it takes a lot for me and my mental scape to be around that many people. Then again, I am going to a day festival soon. I'm going to see Noel Gallagher up in Nottingham, and I think he's got like the Kooks and various others supporting. So
Well, I've always liked watching Glastonbury on TV because I then don't have to sleep in a tent while being kept awake by lots of noisy kids and stuff.
yeah,
I also get to drink beer that I bought at a reasonable price, and
isn't warm.
also I can go to the toilet whenever I like, and
Yeah,
it's quite a clean one. So
yeah,
why would I want to be in a
and if
field?
you want,
Yeah,
if you get the iPlayer on your phone,
yeah,
you can go to the toilet and still
and
watch
still watch
Glastonbury
it. Yeah, or go
with a
or
beer.
go and
You
stand
can do all.
stand in a field and do it if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes, if you're watching it on your phone, maybe at certain points, the sound is just as good as you'd hear on the site. Well, no,
Well,
maybe I'm
you probably
exaggerating slightly, but the sound
well, it depends which
it
way the
depends.
wind's
But it does
blowing, I
depend which way the
suppose.
wind's blowing. You see, that's the thing with watching music in fields. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Or if some idiot's got his missus on his shoulders blocking your
well, that's
view.
another thing, or a very high flag, or something like that. So
Yeah.
we can all think of lots of grouchy reasons not to go to a festival, but
Middle-aged men
I'm
attack.
so glad that so many people do, because there would be no atmosphere whatsoever for watching it on TV if it wasn't for all those people bobbing around and
Glastonbury would be rubbish if it was just me and
a
you in there.
sea
We'd
of
just be stood
people.
there going, we'd just be going, well, look at this. I've got to sleep in a bloody field, and now I've got to go and poo in a toilet that I've got no love for, and I've not even cleaned it, and other people have used it. Oh, mine. I'm drinking warm beer. I'm not having that. Oh, this music's too loud. Turn it down. Put some jazz on.
So we picked our favourite 5 Glastonbury moments,
Yeah,
and
it was
we
hard.
didn't make too much criteria around this, but I decided for myself to pick 5 ones that I remember watching live on TV when they were on at
Yeah.
the time and thinking that it was great. Of course, there are many performances that I have caught up with, days later, weeks later, even years later, but I decided not to count them. I've only counted the ones that stuck in my memory. And these are the 5 that sort of came to my mind first. So I thought, okay, those must be the 5 that made the biggest impression. So
Yeah.
that's my
Well,
list.
I've outdone you because I've actually done 6 because I couldn't narrow it down to 5.
Fine. So you'll have to start then.
So I will start with and they're in no particular order. And obviously, there's a couple on here I didn't watch live, but I have watched them retrospectively. And so, I mean, my first one up is the Arctic Monkeys in 2007. So I just think it was raw. They were young. they weren't that sort of. I know they've become, in some people's eyes, a little bit pretentious recently with their sort of, lounge room rock, as it were. But yeah, I just love that set. It just all these sets that I've never seen live. I've only seen them on the TV. All of these made me want to be there. So that's why I'll pull them in. But yeah, the Arctic Monkeys, I think they had Dizzy Rascal come up and join them for one of the B-sides on it as well.
Okay.
Whatever happened to Dizzy Rascal? So, but yeah, they played all I think, 2007, so they probably would have only have had the second album out. So
Yeah, well, they've had one or two albums. I can't even remember. I can't remember when their first album was. Wasn't there? I have it in my head that their first album was '07, but I may be wrong about that.
I thought it was '06.
You could well be right.
Or was it '05? I think I first heard about them in '05, and I think it may have come out in '06. But yeah, a great set. This House of the Circus, Dancing Shoes, Brainstorm, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor, Fake Tales, all those sort of things. But yeah, it's just a really good, energetic, raw set from a band that sort of took us all a little bit by surprise and a bit by storm, the old music charts. And the Arctic Monkeys are another band I don't think have done a bad song.
Really? Okay. I've not heard all their stuff. Yeah. I do really like I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. I know it's probably the most overplayed and best known of their songs.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm like? I'm usually the sort of person that will pick some slightly obscure song to say is my favourite. But I do really like it. I just think it's a great rock record. And it just makes me want to jump up and down. What else?
Yeah, and the video, I think, is they actually sing live on it. It's actually a different take on the video because it's a live take to the single. But I just think Alex Turner, even back then, he had a bit of a, he has got more of a stage presence now. And he's become a bit more flamboyant with it. But I just like the fact he's just a young lad from Sheffield, and he looks quite, what's the word? Quite sort of inward while projecting outwards. And I just think it's a really, really good set. And it's when I first saw it on there, because I think it's the first time I'd seen them play anything live, obviously from my living room. Yeah, just a great, great set, great band, and a great time to be alive, 2007. So that's my sixth one. So all my first one, they're in no particular order.
Okay.
There's no order of which one's the best here. It's just whatever way they fell out of the hat.
So that's Ben with the Arctic Monkeys. I'm going for, well, I've got one that's similar to them, but I'll save that. We'll go different. I'm going to 1994, and this was the Tea Time Sunday Legends slot in 94. Can you remember who that was, Ben?
The Legends slot in 94. Well, it wouldn't have been Oasis because they wouldn't have played the Legends slot, would they?
No, someone much older and much...
1994, Leonard Cohen?
No, you're on sort of the right lines. He certainly has a deep voice, a bit like Leonard Cohen, but he's
Barry White?
He goes back further than Leonard Cohen. He did. And also deeper voice, but in the more country genre.
Deep voice, country genre. It's not Chris Christopherson. It's going to bug me. Willie Nelson?
Well, you're getting closer, but...
is it Johnny Cash?
It's Johnny Cash. So, yeah. And the one that sticks in my memory is Ghost Riders in the Sky, when he did Ghost Riders in the Sky. Yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. I know all these people.
Yeah.
And, of course, that was very important for him because that was around the time that he started doing these recordings with Rick Rubin, the American recordings.
Oh, songbook things.
And so that very creative last decade of Johnny Cash's life was sort of getting started then, because he'd been making records all through his career, but he'd kind of lost his way a little bit, I think, with being a little bit formulaic, and working with Rick Rubin sort of refocused him.
Yeah, and I have a vague memory of watching this set, not necessarily at the time, because I think the Glastonbury coverage used to be on the BBC late at night. It wasn't like it is now, where it's played. I'm pretty sure I saw
Yeah,
I've seen it somewhere. It could be a false memory, but I'm sure I've seen bits of this footage somewhere, or bits of this
oh yeah,
his
it's
performance
on
anyway.
YouTube. But yeah, and I think he was quite, as many of these ones are. I think Dolly Parton was as well. You know, they're quite amazed by
Yeah, she played
how
it,
the
didn't she?
young
Yeah.
people really get into their music, and
That was quite recently, wasn't it? Was
it
that
was only
about
yeah.
2014?
So, well, I think Dolly Parton was pretty recent. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when that was. It feels to me like it was only about in the last 3 or 4 years, but unless I've got a wrong memory of that. But
Well, one of mine, it wasn't till I looked at what date it, because I wrote the date down. I've done most of these from memory, and I was put the date down, and then I was checking something, and I didn't realise it was 10 years ago. And I thought, I'm sure it was only 3-4 years ago. So, yeah.
so there we go. That's my choice of one of them, Johnny Cash, 1994. So Ben, what's your next one?
My next one is The Killers, as in the Las Vegas rock band.
Brandon Flowers,
Brandon
etc.
Flowers. Yeah, done a few good solo albums actually, but it's just a great set. He's a great performer. Um, yeah, just everything about it. And I don't know why it was the first when I think of Glastonbury. There's one. This was the first one that popped into my head really because it was just. I think it's because a lot of the songs like "Human" and "When We Were Young" and "Somebody Told Me" and obviously "Mr. Brightside." Now, when the Killers first came out, their first album is it Hot Fuzz? Is it Hot
Hot
Fuzz?
Fuss.
Fuss, that's it. Hot Fuzz is a movie,
That's the
isn't it? I think.
Simon Pegg
It,
comedy
Peg,
film.
yeah. I only really liked the singles. It took me years to get sort of into them, and then I was flicking through, the BBC watch it, and this set was starting, and I was like, can I be bothered? And what, an hour or so later, I was, oh God, I'm glad I watched that. So I just like the flamboyancy and the songs mean something as well. It meant something to me at the time as well. So I
So they did Human. So that was like third album. So this was
was Human off of Sam's Town,
no,
which was about
no,
2000.
it was the one after that. It was it called Day and Age or
Yeah, which was the one off of Sam's Town.
Sam's Town
Um,
was the second album, I believe.
yeah, it was,
And
wasn't
then
it?
the
Sort
third
of
one
sepia.
was it called Day and Age? It's got Human on it. I think it's called Day and Age.
Yeah,
I may have
yeah.
got that wrong, but yeah. So that would have been. It wasn't their first appearance at Glastonbury. I would have thought then. Must have been the second.
I think no, I think they played Glastonbury. Was it about 2007? I think.
Okay.
I'm sure they played it. It's the one. It's the song off of the second one, isn't it? The one that goes, "He looks a little bit like Jesus." With yeah, that when we were young, I've got it. I've already said
Okay.
the title, so that's off Sam's Town. But yeah, great set. It's yeah, and I think I have seen their 2007 set, and that was a great set as well. But they obviously had more hits.
So this is. So what year was the one that you're picking out then?
2000 I'm sure it's 2017.
Okay. So this is okay. So they've been going a while on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Their first album came out 2004.
4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really great. The Killers are one of those bands where I don't listen to them for a long time, and then I hear them, and I'm like, oh, I should really listen to them more. I've got a couple of Brandon Flowers' solo albums; they're both really good as well. So
Yeah, I don't mind them. There are people. I have come across music fans who like to have a bit of a sneer at them in the way that there are some people who like to have a bit of a sneer at Coldplay or at
yeah,
U2 and the Doors.
yeah.
Maybe it's just because it's they did achieve a high level of mainstream popularity. So
Yeah,
once you do
I
that,
always find
people
with
can have a sneer at you.
yeah, but I mean, I don't find. I mean, I don't probably haven't seen that much about it, but I suppose with U2 and Coldplay, I mean, when the artists start sort of making their own personal feelings known and all this sort of stuff, I suppose people have a bit of a back. I don't have a problem with it at the end of the day, but I've never known Brandon Flowers or anybody from the Killers to be outspoken on
Not I'm aware of. No.
No. It's just about the music, man. That's all we
baby.
care about.
Okay.
We do our speaking in the words of our songs.
So the Killers. That is
Tooth.
Ben's second choice. They killed it for him in a good way.
They do. I like these. I like these little puns that you lob in every now and again.
So my next one, I'm going to check in. Well, from Johnny Cash, we'll go to something completely different. I'm going to go to one from last year, 2022, and the set by Wet Leg, who kind of stole the show. They were put on the other stage, and I see why they were put on the other stage, because they were a bit of a cult band. And apparently Emily Evis said afterwards, "Oh, they should have been on the Pyramid stage. We should have put them on the Pyramid stage." But I think they should have been on the other stage, because I think it's better to be a bit of a cult.
But were they on the same night as Paul McCartney?
I don't think so. I think it was the day before. I think it may even have been the Friday, but it was the afternoon. It was daylight when they were on.
Yeah. I've never got into Wet Leg. I've never really listened to them. I know you have got the mad hots for them.
Well, I do enjoy them. They're fun. And what I liked about this gig, they came on wearing these sort of dresses that looked like they'd been made out of some net curtains, and they looked very hippie. And they were wearing their Doc Martens, and I just thought this is
hippie shirt.
I just thought, well, this is so Glastonbury. This is what I really think of Glastonbury as being, that some hippie looking girls with guitars playing for, an audience that knows their songs, but they're still a bit of a cult band.
Yeah.
And as I remember rightly, some of the audience had actually dressed up as lobsters, because there were lobsters in one of their videos. Well, in one of the videos, she's got these inflatable lobster hands, so some of the audience were doing that. So they had a cult following by that point. But it was just a really good performance, and they did their set piece, Chaise Longue, and they also did the song, what's it called? It's called Your Mum, I think it is, yeah, which has got the longest and loudest scream in the middle of it. So on
Your Mama,
when she sings, I'm going to do my longest and loudest scream, and then they stop, the music stops, and then all the audience, everybody does a scream. And then start again.
Like I said, I've listened to a couple of the songs, but I have to say they're not on my radar.
You need to get them on your radar. Hester and Rianne. Well, they're very good band. Actually, because there's the two girls are the front of the band, and they tend to give the interviews, and the lads in the band, who are their friends from the Isle of Wight, are a little bit more in the background.
Oh, so they're an English band?
Oh yeah, from the Isle of Wight. Yeah.
I had a feeling they were from Australia or something.
They are Isle of Wight. So the guys in the band, they are permanently in the band. They are always the musicians, but they take a little bit of a back seat to the two girls. Yeah. But they are very good. They've got a very good rhythm section. They do, they are a good band as well. And the songs are...
Is it Bonehead and Gwigsy?
No, a bit younger than them. But they're quirky. It's fun. I mean, people were going to maybe a bit too overboard for them last year, but I do think they're fun. I don't know where they're going to go next, but it was certainly a great Glastonbury gig.
I will have to check them out. And I don't know if you've seen the new feature on a certain music streaming site. They've got an AI feature now, which I've been experimenting with today.
Okay.
And it goes through all your music listening history, and it'll put a playlist together, and he talks to you in it's weird.
Okay.
Because he's playing songs to me that I haven't heard for ages. And I may ask him, the being inside the phone, to add a little bit of Wet Leg to me listening.
Add it on. There's only one album, so,
it's not going to take me long to listen.
It's not going to take that long. It's only sort of half hour. I'm surprised you should get the vinyl. You should support them. Support our bands. You should buy their album on vinyl. If you're going to keep buying all these vinyl records, you might as well support an upcoming band.
British band. Well, as I said in our last video, when I produced this album, I just buy albums by men who
look like you.
Quite handsome looking. Yeah.
Is this so you don't have to have a mirror? You just look at those instead?
Yeah, I just get up in the morning and go, yep, that's me done. I'm fine. That's the shape of my head. So
Okay, so
yeah,
that was Wet Leg, who didn't make me want to be on a chaise long. They made me want to be up and dancing. So
I want to see you dance.
you don't. You really, really don't. Some people have seen that. One of the last times
Were they sick?
I danced was in where was it? Where is it? Oh, Spain. Somewhere on the south coast of Spain. A kind of
On your yacht?
beachfront cafe restaurant that's got a bit of a dance area. It's one of these. It's like a cafe in the daytime, and at night time it becomes a little bit more of a nighttime venue, and they have a little bit of a dance there with a DJ. And I danced there, and I can honestly say
They closed down the day
I
after.
can honestly say I've never taken any drugs, right? Ever. It's just not my thing. But I was dancing and I wasn't even drunk. I had maybe a beer or so, but I was just up to have a bit of fun and dance. And the guy came and asked me if I could buy some of the drugs I was taking off him because he thought I was on drugs.
You must have been proper going for. Were you like that?
I wasn't going like that. No, I was just being a bit more of my usual sort of funky dancing. Anyway, we're supposed to talk about our favourite Glastonbury moments, and it definitely doesn't include me dancing. So, what's your next performance?
My next one is a split between two sets, but I'm going to have to go with the later one. I think it's from 2011.
Okay.
But I think they headlined in '95 as well, and that is Pulp.
Okay.
And one of the things I think they played, is it the Park stage? Is there a Park
there is
stage?
A park
I don't know why that
stage,
rings, but yeah, I think they were on that. And I mean, Jarvis is. I mean, I think I've said this before. A man in that tight of trousers, a man who looks basically like he should be teaching geography, and at his age shouldn't be climbing up speakers like he does. But that set reignited the 2011 one. Reignited my liking for common people because it become overplayed and all that sort of stuff. But Jarvis just has, and I think it's probably a bit like you dancing, an unintentional presence.
yeah.
And he is very captivating in a way. I think it's because Jarvis to me is just somebody who is all joints. He's got no, torso really because he's so thin. But if you look at him, he's all just right angles. Even the way he bends, he's quite sort of. But the '95 set I've only seen obviously in videos, reviewed. But the 2011 one, I remember watching it, and I hadn't really been a massive Pulp fan up until, not saying I'm a massive one now, but you like the singles and stuff. But it was that sort of made me think, and that made me think, oh yeah, I should listen to more of these. And then when I rewatched that set about 2 years ago, that got me more back into them. So I bought a couple of the albums. I'm still after This Is Hardcore on vinyl, but I bought a lot of Jarvis's solo stuff as well. And I just think he's a bit of a dude, really. Like I said, he's a geography teacher that you could actually be friends with.
So that's a 2011 gig. So when you said a park stage, is that one of these ones that's a tent covering over it, or it was an outdoor one?
I think so.
I'm surprised they were on such a small stage. I thought they would have been on something like the other stage.
No, they're on a big stage. It's the one. I'm sure it's 2011. The one where he climbs up the speaker stands. Or was that a later one?
I don't know whether
I don't know.
See, I don't know whether I've seen this
track.
20. I don't think I ever saw the 2011 one. I actually saw the earlier one.
Oh, the 95
one.
That's a really good set. That is. That's a really, really good set. And I've only seen it retrospectively, and I just think, like I said, Jarvis must just have 34 brown bloody suit jackets in his wardrobe. But he's a cool dude, isn't he? He's sort of like the anti-cool dude. He looks like he shouldn't be cool, but he is cool. I mean, he needs a good meal. If anybody's watching and knows Jarvis, feed him. Please feed him.
So it's okay. So it's the 2011 Pulp set.
I'm sure it's 2011. It could be later, but for some reason I've got it in my mind that it's 2011.
We'll put a link.
It's a great set. Yeah, and Jarvis owns the stage
Well,
when he shouldn't do,
it's
really.
one of the bands that, they go very well with Glastonbury, don't they? Now, this is a band.
Yeah, yeah.
My next one is a band that also go very well with Glastonbury, and I must.
Is it Marmite?
Well, I must admit that I've got this thing that I like the fact that in more recent years, and I mean Glastonbury has become more corporate in recent years. I think it has.
Yeah, yeah,
From people who've been there,
definitely,
they say it has still got its hippie roots, and that there's still a lot of that there. Of course, it is more corporate, and there are more big stars appearing there, and big mainstream stars that you would never have
But you
had.
can't be a hippie to afford to go to it
Exactly,
anymore.
and in the '90s, you would never have had some of the pop stars that have performed there. But I must admit, I do still have this feeling, and maybe I was talking about Wet Leg earlier, that the guitar bands for me are still sort of the spirit of Glastonbury more
That's what
than
it's
anything
made for, isn't it?
anything else. Maybe that's just me being a boring
I kind of
middle-aged white
think
man,
that
but that's it.
I just kind of think that a lot of these other acts, when they've sort of you get the pop acts and nothing against people like Kylie Minogue and all that sort of stuff. They all appeal to people. I like some of Kylie Minogue's stuff, especially what she did with Nick Cave, and but it's almost like it's put there to. Did you ever watch the original Scream movie?
Scream, yeah, a long time ago.
It's got Henry Winkler in it,
Yeah.
and putting these acts on at Glastonbury reminds you a little bit of watching that, because when he first came on the screen, everybody went, "Oh, it's the Fonz." It took you back to a moment in your childhood, watching Happy Days, and I think that's why some of these bands are probably there, because people love it, because it's like, yeah, that's a bit of my childhood, because I would never go and see this band live. I'd never go and see Robson and Jerome thingy, but they start singing, oh yeah, I used to watch Soldier Soldier, and then they went and ruined it by singing. So still wouldn't watch Phil Collins ever.
Well, the next one.
I would. I can I just say on that, I went through it with somebody the other day, my niece's partner, and I did say to him, I know this is going off topic, about my disdain for Phil Collins, and then we went through it. I actually like about 8 of his songs, so it's not all bad. We all can change.
You're just
So can you.
doing it to be cool, aren't you? The Phil Collins hate,
Yeah.
and then it turns out you
Yeah,
actually enjoy
yeah.
some of it. There you go.
Yeah, I do.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember this. I remember getting home from work in 1995, and it was Friday afternoon, and finished.
Is this when you're working down the pit?
Yeah, and I remember getting back from the office, and I think it was when I finished at 3 in the afternoon, because it was a Friday, and going. I think I'm going to go and watch Glastonbury, and turned it on, and there was this band that I did know a little bit about, but I'd never seen them perform before, and it was Supergrass. And of course, this was '95, so this was their first album. It obviously just come out. I think it must have been released at that point, or either was just released or about to be released. I think they must have put it out before.
Yeah, I think it was released around that time, wasn't it? Because All Right was sort of like the summer hit.
That was the summer hit, and that was the one that everybody got going because they all knew it. But it was a great set, and I do remember as well they did a version of "Where Have All the Good Times Gone" by the Kinks. And I just remember thinking, well, this is a really cool band. I'm digging this. And so that was just stuck in my memory. I did watch it live, so I'm going for that
Gaz
one.
Coombs, very handsome man as well.
Yeah, they've played Glastonbury, I think, at least 2 more times.
Year?
They did it last year, and they claim that they've retired again now, and so that was supposedly their swan song. They did play it. They played it in between those times as well. I think they must.
Yeah, I think they have.
They must have done it at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. But this was the first appearance. Just very exciting seeing a young upcoming band at Glastonbury
with
sideburns at Glastonbury. So that's Supergrass '95. That's my next choice.
Ah. Oh, it's down to me, isn't it?
It's down to you. I don't think there's anyone else on this show, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
There's this bottle of water, which has probably got more insight to music than I've got. My next one is from 2022, Phil, which you may remember was last year. And last year, there was a festival called Glastonbury. And at this festival, there was a little band from the Manchester area. I say that because I've actually forgotten where they're from, and I think it's Bury. It was Elbow, and their 2022 set, and it was just. I
I didn't
purposely
see
set
this.
myself.
I didn't see it.
I did. You see,
Yeah.
I've watched it twice. The set, and it's another good set. Guy Garvey does. Elbow never disappoint, really. Like I said, it took me a few years to get into them. It's quite emotional. I think they've got the Citizens of the World Refugee Choir.
Okay.
Join them on stage. They've got these massive 11, I think they're 11, 12 foot high puppets. So Little Amal or something like that it's called. So, yeah, very, very good. Very, very good. I always find Elbow, when I see them at Glastonbury, it's almost like, well, they're always faultless. And it's one of those, when Guy Garvey sings, it's almost like you have this thing, you just to hold your arms out like that. Arms open, just
Okay.
almost like beckoning him in. So, but yeah, great set. Dexter and the Sinister, Empires, My Sad Captain, Daylight. On a day like this, all the big hits, Grounds for Divorce and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, just a really great album, and with the sort of, I always like it when people bring on a bit of stage wear. The puppets were brilliant. To be fair, it's like the people controlling them. I mean, I'm just like a massive child, but yeah, they were cool. You need to watch it. It was a very, very good set.
I'll
So
have to
that's
check it
my
out because I've never delved.
yeah.
I've never delved deeply into Elbow. I've only ever just put my tip of my elbow in. So,
Oh yeah.
so I need to do that. I'll check that out. It must be on
Well,
YouTube, surely.
yeah. Well, a friend of mine, the Mr. Bush Pig, he got me into Elbow. Right, he introduced me to Elbow in 2002 with Asleep at the Back, and really loved the song Newborn. But I found the rest of the album quite hard to listen to. So it was, I was listening to the Strokes, Oasis, and everything at the time, that quite punchy rock. It wasn't probably until 5-6 years ago that I actually sort of really, I've got Guy Garvey's solo album, great solo album. I suppose it's a bit like the Smiths in the 80s. It takes you a while to
To
get
like
into
it,
them,
yeah.
but I'm glad I have, and obviously got this week. I'm only missing now 2 Elbow albums from my collection, possibly 3, but one's a live album, 2 are live albums, and one is one studio album.
So you're
So
becoming a bit of an expert. You'll definitely know your elbow from your elbow. Yeah. Excellent.
so
So Elbow
yeah,
2022 from Ben.
2022, yes, yeah.
Now I deliberately kind of left some of my very favourite artists off this list because I don't want to be talking about the same people all the time, and
I did that as well. I've got a
posthumous, someone who's died.
list for. Yeah, well, they haven't. Well,
Oh, you've got an alternative list of some of your favourites on there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, one of them's died,
Okay.
and one of them's had a band member die.
So I didn't.
That's quite a morbid.
So I haven't put some of my very
list.
favourites on it. So I haven't put Paul McCartney on. I could have done. I haven't put the Stones on. Could have done. I haven't put Neil Young on. Could have done. Could have put Blondie on. And there's a lot of bands, artists that I'm associated with liking. So I didn't really want to put them on. Talk about something. So I'm going to talk about 2007, and I turned it on. And I was watching this. I think I was sitting outdoors with my laptop and my headphones on the laptop and watching it on the BBC. And I hadn't planned to watch this set. It just came on and I couldn't turn it off. Like, it was just.
Can I guess?
You can have a guess.
Are they English?
American. And it's a band, but it's a band fronted by someone who is an icon in his own right as well. But he was originally part of this band. And he's from, I think he's from Ohio, but he's American.
Foo Fighters?
No, goes back a bit further than that.
No, because is it Seattle?
So,
no, where?
Foo Fighters were, well, Dave Grohl was Seattle, wasn't he? But
Seattle, yeah.
Well, this is more of a, what should I say? Very influential band, a veteran band by the time they did this set in 2007.
The Who?
No, but you're in the right kind of era. But it's American, remember?
Oh, yeah, American. Neil Young,
No,
Crosby, Stills and Nash.
no, more noisy than Crosby, Stills and Nash. More energy.
Iggy Pop.
It was Iggy and the Stooges,
Oh, I
2007.
got there in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Shirt
he
off,
didn't have a.
Iggy.
He didn't. Oddly enough, he wasn't wearing a shirt on this particular performance.
Go for it.
And yeah, and it was the guy whose name has gone out of my head, who's no longer. I mean, none of the other Stooges are still around now. The guitarist whose name I might have gone blank on it,
What, Little Mo?
but he was the original guitarist was there, and great set. Really, you just couldn't take your eyes off him. Absolutely bonkers, but brilliant. And it all ended with people getting on the stage and dancing, and it was like a bonkers stage invasion.
He is nuts, Iggy Pop.
It was absolutely bonkers, but it's on. I'll put the link to it. It's on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, if you like that kind of thing, I can't recommend it enough. If you dig that kind of thing, then you will love this set.
I remember watching Iggy Pop on Jules Holland, and he was mental on that. I mean, fair play to him. He's got a good torso for a man of his age. So
I wouldn't perform with my shirt off, put it that way.
I would, because I've got a body like an Adonis.
So,
oh, me back.
Your next choice is
from 2013.
Okay.
Do you want to have a guess?
Okay. Is it a band? Is it a solo artist?
It is a band. It's a band.
Do I get any kind of clue as to what band it would be in 2013?
They're British.
Okay. Are they English?
They are.
Okay. That eliminated one of the ones I was thinking about.
What, the Proclaimers?
Okay.
Wet, wet, wet.
2013. I'm just trying to think.
This is the one I was surprised, because I thought this was only sort of like 2017, 18, but...
Iconic English band, 2013.
They headlined.
Okay, was it the Stone Roses?
No, but they did get back together 2013. So I went to the Heaton Park gig.
They did something around then, or was it 2016? I can't remember. They did
2013, Heaton Park.
They did something like that, didn't they? Okay. Well, am I in the right area with the Stone Roses? Is it that kind of thing? Is it a band?
It is a band, a bit older than the Stone Roses, but similar.
Oh, hang on. You just mentioned them, didn't you, when you were trying to guess my Iggy Pop one? It's The Who. No?
But they did play that year, I think.
Okay. So it's not The Who, but...
Same sort of era, though.
Well, it's got to be... It's the Stones. Of course.
The Rolling Stones. It was 2013. So you got Stones in there.
I'm surprised how long ago that was.
I know, 2000. I was really shocked. And I just remember watching it and thinking, how does Mick Jagger still do it at the age he was then? I mean, he's got a face that looked like it's like melted blancmange, but he's still got a great voice. It was a really good stripped back set. I think Mick Taylor, wasn't he one of the original guitarists? He joined him on.
He was the good guitarist who replaced Brian Jones, who was there from 69 to 74, yeah.
Yeah, I know he joined him on stage for 2 or 3 songs, but I mean, what WTF? How long ago was it? It seems to me like it was.
Yeah. This was the 50th anniversary year, wasn't it? And it's now the 60th anniversary year.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it
was that long ago.
I mean, Mick Jagger. I mean, I think Keith Richards is actually dead. He just doesn't know that he's dead. That's the trouble. His body hasn't caught up with him. But yeah, Mick Jagger is just how he still does it, how he moves and sort of
2 hours a day workout. He does apparently 2 hours a day of workout and yoga and stuff. And
oh, does he?
He has
I've got to say,
done, because his dad was a PE teacher, and it's instilled in him.
And he loves his cricket.
So he's always done exercise, so he's always kept himself fit.
I was listening to a little story by Noel Gallagher the other day, and he was at Montserrat or somewhere like that, and it was at a party, and one of his knows Keith Richards' daughter or something like that, if he's got a daughter, and
this
apparently
Mystique.
Mystique, where the Be Here Now demos were, and he basically said to know, oh, they let anybody in here now, and he said, I've got to ask you one question: who's the biggest dickhead, your singer or mine? And he just went, oh, I think Noel said, oh, well, bear in mind your singer's written some of the greatest songs of all time. I'll say mine. And Keith Richards just went, I thought so.
There you go.
So, yeah, but yeah, no, a brilliant set. I mean, how they keep going is beyond me.
Didn't he do a rewritten version of the song Factory Girl from Beggar's Banquet and renamed it Glastonbury Girl?
Something like that.
I seem to remember that being done. And wasn't there also a story that Mick Jagger was staying in a yurt? That he was basically glamping at Glastonbury.
That wouldn't surprise. I love Mick Jagger. I think Mick Jagger's so cool because obviously 2013, that would have been the time that they released Doom and Gloom, which is a brilliant track.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Real sort of tub thumping sort of.
All the passengers were drunk and insane.
Insane. Yeah. Great track. Great set. Great sort of. Yeah, I love the Stones. I'd love to go and see them live. Maybe I will before they stop or I stop anyway. So
yeah, I mean, I'm somewhat ashamed that I've not seen the Stones. The two biggest things that I'm ashamed of is that I'm not seeing the Stones. I'm not seeing Bruce Springsteen, and now that Charlie's no longer with us, it doesn't feel quite as much the Stones as it would have done with him because I always liked Charlie. Yeah. So without Charlie, I don't feel as much of a need to see them now. But
yeah, Charlie to me always seemed like the calm, the calmness inside the insanity, in a way. And he was cool.
So the Stones, 2013, that was the next choice from Ben. Now I'm going to do the one act where we've both overlapped. Can you guess what the act is that we've overlapped on? But that's a different set I've chosen.
Well, I'm going to say Pulp.
It is Pulp.
And you're going for the 95?
This is 95 because I remember watching this and it's, I mean, this is quite legendary and it's much talked about the fact that the Stone Roses were going to be playing, and one of them
they pulled out.
One of them injured themselves, and I've temporarily forgotten which member it was. Was it John Squire who injured himself falling off a bike or something?
Yeah, they split up not long after this anyway.
They did, but whether this injury was real or whether it was used as an excuse, I don't know. But but they didn't play, and I can't remember how soon in advance it was that the Stone Roses cancelled. But I think it was quite soon before it was due. I think a lot of the people who went, had gone there mainly to see the Stone Roses, and then it was announced that they weren't going to be there, and they were being replaced by Pulp on the Pyramid stage. So now I've since watched an interview with Jarvis Cocker. I'll come back to that, but at the time, they came on. Jarvis Cocker came on. And, of course, Pulp had just become really big at that point because Common People had been out.
Common People had just come out, yeah.
So they came on and did a great set. And then at the end, Jarvis gets out a piece of paper and he says, I've noted some things down because I didn't want to forget anything. I don't normally do this because I normally like to be spontaneous. And then then they do Common People and the crowd goes completely bonkers. It's like the crowd have all become one, and they're just all completely. And it was one of those moments of the mid-90s that really sticks in my memory. That like, wow, this, and it really felt at the time like it was a real big cultural thing was going on within British music.
With the Arctic Monkeys, that's what I sort of got with that, with their set, and that the later Pulp set as well. Well, I think Jarvis just has a way of, it must be something in the Sheffield area.
It must be.
Of sort of bonding people.
Well, I watched an interview because I was looking this set up to find the footage online, and I ended up watching an interview with Jarvis Cocker from more recently. It was when he was promoting a book, and he'd done this video for Penguin Books. Where
is this his book about when he was going through his loft and he had all the
things I don't know much
The
about
things
this
that
book.
reminded him of his childhood and
Yeah, well, it must have
stuff
been.
like that,
It
which
must
is
have been.
supposed to be a good book.
Well, it must have been published by Penguin because he was doing this officially to promote Penguin books, and they were going through his iconic moments of his life. So one of them was this 1995 Glastonbury, and I mean, quite amazing. It must have been quite amazing for them because the band had been together for 15 years at this point, and this was
Yeah,
like
they
the
were together from the early
yeah. So this
80s,
was the
weren't they?
culmination of 15 years, and he said that when they started the band in Sheffield in the early 80s, if you were in a band, that was just a way of saying that you were really unemployed, but you were trying to look cool, and
Mm.
they had all this people deriding him, you're never going to be anything, and then he was headlining Glastonbury. But he said that he was really nervous about this, and they actually sat in a chair for about 2 hours before the gig because he didn't dare move in case he tripped up and injured himself or something. So he just sat in the same chair for 2 hours before he went on. And he did actually make some notes of things to say because he was really worried that he would completely get so nervous he wouldn't know what to say. So I didn't realize that he was so nervous about going on and doing it, but it was obviously there's a lot of nervous energy in this performance, which I didn't know at the time. But yeah, really good one. So that's Pulp 95. That's my last choice. So I've done 5. So you must have done 5 now. So it's
5.
your number 6. So what have you got?
It's my number 6, my last one, because I am nothing but predictable, Phil. So can you guess what my next one is?
Oh, let me guess. A band.
I love his song.
Well, yeah. Okay, so which Oasis performance is this?
Well, I'm torn between the
Yeah.
95. Well, the 95 one, I love the 94 one. Liam, iconic, and that Marks and Spencer's jumper, the white shirt and those sunglasses. But the 95 one just shades it because obviously they played Morning Glory, Roll With It, Swamp Song, and Noel did an acoustic version of Wonderwall. So there's a few more bigger songs and stuff in
Okay,
there.
those songs were being previewed at the time, but in advance
Yeah, they
of
were.
the
Yeah,
album. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and it's quite iconic because it's got Robbie Williams. He joined him on stage for Shaker Maker
Okay.
when he had his hair dyed blonde, which was the end of his days in Take That when he was seen there. But the 94 set, I've seen that a few times. That's really iconic. Liam is a full Liam. He's just, bear in mind what Glastonbury's June. Their first single would have only come out 2 months before, 3 months before April
It was
'94.
spring '94, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He owned that stage for a man of 2021, as he would have been then. But yeah, it's just the 95 one. I think they just had a little bit more presence as a unit on stage, even though they were fairly solid anyway beforehand. And I just think with those extra songs in it, it just makes the set fuller.
Is it is
Bit
it Alan White on drums in the '95 version?
95. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because
He'd recorded the
Tony
album
McCarroll.
with them. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because Tony McCarroll recorded the drums for Some Might Say, and I'm sure that came out in the May.
Yeah.
But Tony McCarroll didn't do the top of the pops for Some Might Say. That was Alan White. So yeah, it must have been the Whiters on that one. So I know I've gone predictable. I couldn't leave him out. I did leave Liam Gallagher off at Glastonbury. Was it 2019 or 17? But I just think it's too iconic for me, and being a massive fan, I couldn't not.
Well, we can't argue with the fact that they were great Glastonbury moments. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think
Oasis
that they're great.
95. We're going
Yeah,
for 95, but we also recommend looking up 94 as well.
yeah. Both of them. You could watch them back to back. I mean, the set lists aren't too dissimilar, apart from obviously the new tracks in there. Do you want my honorary mentions?
Honorary mentions. Go on, give it to us.
I've got obviously, sadly, no longer with us. David Bowie in 2000 with his cool long
Now that
hair.
was a good one, and I remember. Yeah, I do remember watching that at the time, and I found out
Yeah.
since apparently he had laryngitis. Is that
Oh, did he?
Apparently. Well, I mean, I
Well,
didn't think there was
high-pitched.
anything wrong with his performance when I watched it at the
Vocal
time.
performance? No.
And
But that
that's
was a good performance.
now available on an
Yeah.
official DVD, I think, and Blu-ray and
Yeah.
everything.
McCartney 2004.
Yeah.
I didn't mind his set last year. I know a lot of people slagged him off because of his voice and stuff, but he's a guy in his late 70s, early 80s. Give him a break.
Yeah, he's 80. I mean, he's 80, wasn't he? I mean, I
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed McCartney last year, and because I was pleasantly surprised that his voice was better than I thought it was going to be, because I'd seen a couple of videos and things that people have filmed on their phones from the months before that, and I thought his voice sounds like it's almost disappeared on these particular videos, and I thought this sounds really bad, and I thought, how is he going to do Glastonbury? Is he going to get is the crowd going to make me sing all these songs? But because I had such low expectations, I was impressed at how he did.
Yeah. So I quite enjoyed his set last year, but his 2004 set was a good one. Liam Gallagher 2019, I think that was a really good, punchy set. Liam's voice is, I don't know what he's done. I know we were talking about the other day, but whatever he's doing with his voice, it's holding its own. The Foo Fighters 2017, really enjoyed that set. The Who 2007, and one that almost made my list because at the time I really liked it was Coldplay in 2002. I remember watching that from a hotel room in Heathrow.
Okay.
Watching that, and then there's a couple of bits I could throw in like Orbital and Born Slippy Underworld and Faithless when they did Insomnia. So some like sort of moments, some sort of like the trip hop dance sort of side of stuff, but there's so many to choose from. It was almost impossible to. So I just went for the ones that came first to my head that I could think of.
Well, if I had to do honourable mentions, I'd think, I'm thinking of ones that were that got me slightly back into them. Stevie Wonder a few years ago now, but that
was a really good set.
That got me back into thinking, oh yeah, Stevie Wonder's great. I enjoyed the
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton was fun. Pet Shop Boys, I
really enjoyed that one as well.
Both of their sets, because they did one, I think, was it around 2000 or 99? I think it was the first time they played there I think it was the late 90s. I may be wrong about that, but the first time they played was quite impressive, and they did it last year as well, and I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed there's been so many. I enjoyed The Cure. That was a few years ago.
That was a couple of years. Stormzy I quite enjoyed as well. I didn't mind Stormzy. I thought that was quite
it was
energetic.
It was the most recent one by The Cure that got me into thinking, I should really pay more attention to The Cure.
I think, do you know what? I think that's what it did to me as well, and I ended up buying their double album Greatest Hits.
It made me get more into them. And
I've got Acoustic Cure as well.
What's another one? I'm trying to think of another one. Oh, another one I was thinking specifically for one track was Radiohead in '97 when they just released OK Computer.
OK Computer.
I think it was a festival where it was full of mud, and they did all that stuff as well, obviously, but they did Paranoid Android, and the bit that sticks in my memory was that when Johnny Greenwood plays the guitar solo, the really intense guitar solo, it was just, whoa, he's on another planet. It was amazing.
So the other one for me, Portishead, I think that was 97 as well. Okay. That was a good.
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, I really like Portishead. I've kind of grown into them. I sort of was never a massive trip hop fan, but I would say trip hop's sort of creeping up my pyramid of genres.
There you go.
It's knocking down my country and western funk jazz fusion.
So those are our Glastonbury moments. What were your favourite Glastonbury performances? Are there ones that you actually saw when you were there for real, not like us, armchair supporters sitting there with our pre-canned, pre-fridged beer?
We know what it's like to be a Manchester United fan, Phil. Now,
exactly. What have you seen at Glastonbury that was great, and indeed watched on TV? Which ones have we not mentioned? Give us a comment. Tell us. And thank you for watching. We do appreciate all these follows and shares and all of your kind feedback. So keep doing it. Until the next one, all the best.